everybody. Welcome to the Awakener podcast. This is the best podcast you've ever listened to.
Shit, stop.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Awakener podcast. This is the best podcast in the history of the world for a plethora of reasons. First reason is go to theawakener.ca and you'll have your mind blown as to what actually is happening. We are the only podcast that is describing day-by-day details, explaining what is going on in this world and why things are happening the way they are. So for all of you out there right now, everyone is talking left and right. Everyone's got their conspiracy about what is happening, what they think is going on, all the events unfolding. The left is arguing and saying, no, nothing is going on. The right is just crazy. And the right is going to the left and saying, hey, wait a second, something's going on. Don't you believe us? In the end, everyone's going to know. And this is what I told you. You live in a war. You were born into this war. This is a civilization battle that has been taking place for thousands of years. If you woke up and you live in free will, and you have a car and all these wonderful things and opportunity, you live in the Western world. Do you appreciate the Western world? Do you love it?
Will you fight for it?
Will you fight for it? Okay, well, there is a U.S. military-industrial complex. You're such a genius for knowing this. High fives for you. Now, it goes much deeper than that. The U.S. military-industrial complex is designed to protect the Western world. There must be a little method of control in an advanced society. You can't just have lawlessness that just exists on its own. There has to be some rules, there has to be some regulations, there has to be some basis of control. Just a tiny bit. If there's no basis of control, it's anarchy. So we live in a modern civilization that obviously there is an industrial complex backing it, and this complex is at war with the communist conspiracy that is aligned with obviously the Soviets, who have pretended they're dead, which we'll get into later on, and the Islamic world, well, half the Islamic world, because half the Islamic world is allying with us, and they love us, and think we're wonderful. The other half wants to take us out. And the moment you kind of wake up, you realize that this is not a debate. This is a war. It's not a debate about climate change, right? Russia and China, they want all the oil, all the power. Our government, they want you to have the money. They don't want you to have the power. They don't want you to have the jobs. They're working for the enemy. The globalists are working for our enemies to pass worldwide communism and are leading the Western world and the U.S. complex to its demise and its death. And this is going to come out for everybody to see. And it's going to be, boom, earth-shattering. So before we begin, I got the Insider with me. Insider, how are you?
I'm doing great, Awakener.
Insider, we're going to go through a bunch of events that have happened in the last week, and we're going to explain to people what's going on. But first, I just want to recap, okay? So the events that are unfolding today are basically Oppenheimer 2.0. If you are familiar with Oppenheimer and what happened in 1943, 1945, is the Western world was under perilous threat of extinction. And the U.S. industrial complex paid a bunch of money to get the atomic bomb first before the Nazis and the communists who had a head start. This was to protect the Western world and to protect your freedoms. And the events that are unfolding today are what I call Oppenheimer 2.0, which relate to the Department of Energy, U.S. fissile material, and forced U.S. industrial complex respond out of absolute necessity to save all your asses who don't appreciate the Western world. The Western world is under threat of extinction, perilous to threat of extinction, by advanced EMPs and a plot to take us out that was enabled by a plant put into the White House, which is detailed on the Awakener.ca, and that plant is Barack Obama. The second you understand this, and you understand the events that are taking place, your mind will be blown, and you understand exactly what's going on in this civilization battle. So what's the events that are happening? I know Israel, let's go right there.
Okay.
So what's the latest?
Well, they killed Sinwar.
I don't actually read the news too much, so I'm counting on you to kind of update me, and I'm going to give you my take.
So Israel did a wonderful thing, and they killed Sinwar, who is the head of Hamas.
Oh my goodness, he's such a hero, isn't he?
Yeah, well, and you see people here in Canada who are crying that this terrorist, this murderer, this child baby beheader has been killed, and they're sad about it, and it's disgusting. And Canadians are waking up and saying those people should be deported.
War is a horrible thing. Okay, it's impossible to have a war 100% clean where nobody innocent gets killed. War is a horrible thing to think about. If you'll read textbooks back to 1945 and 1918, or World War I and World War II, war is very, very gruesome. Yes. I'm sorry, get over it. Okay, this is something that unfortunately is just we're going to have to deal with. Okay, we do our best to protect innocent people. Sometimes innocent people get caught in the flack, right? It's an unfair world.
Well, look at the American Revolution. Blood was spilled, but it was spilled for liberty and freedom and justice.
Right. For thousands of years, human evolution has happened because sides have fought various wars. There's been evil that has attempted to destroy the Western world. The Western world has responded, and what has happened? The evil's been defeated, and unfortunately, Well, a lot of people don't appreciate it, but the evolution of the society that you live in is now all of a sudden the colonialists have brought prosperity, peace, freedom, and goodwill to most of mankind. Not all of mankind, but all of mankind will be coming soon, as we detailed in this podcast. What's the next thing that's happened?
Well, lots of stuff happening in Canada, lots of stuff in the States. What do you want to touch?
I heard something about Taiwan. So Taiwan and China is a big thing. I think there was a record number of planes, a record number of ships. They were practicing military drills, so I did see that on the news.
Correct.
To me, I want your take on this. To me, this kind of seemed like a complete encirculation of Taiwan already. Like it's obvious.
Well, they're starting. Yeah, absolutely. They're starting it.
So I guess a year ago there was a couple intrusions. 6 months ago there was many intrusions, and now there's intrusions all the time.
Correct.
And they're just warming up to like, oh my goodness, we have you completely surrounded all the time, and it's just a fact of life. It seems like Taiwan is kind of accepting this. I mean, I have friends and family that are like kind of related there, so they have kind of noticed this been happening for quite some time, and they just have gone about their life going, oh, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen to us, and they've always done this. Obviously, the insider's take is far different, right?
Well, I don't think Taiwan is accepting it. I think Taiwan is militarily weak compared to China, so there's only limited what they can do. But you know, America knows what's going on. Taiwan is prepared. A lot of the semiconductor and chip manufacturing has been shift over to the United States, so they're prepared in case China wants to take over.
Right. Okay. So let's move on. Let's go to the election. So the election is coming up in just a matter of a couple of weeks.
Correct.
This is the craziest election in the history of mankind. Everyone is freaking out. I just want to assure you. Okay. So the events unfolding today are organically already planned and have already been mapped out. And if you believe what is happening on national television at face value right now, you got to think a little bit deeper about the control mechanisms, Operation Mockingbird, who actually controls Operation Mockingbird, what happened in 2016, and you'll kind of get a sense as to what is really going on. Obviously, see Barack Obama and Joe Biden still scheming it out. They're in video. Listen, to really fully understand what is happening, it's very complicated. Go on the website, awakener.ca, and listen to my previous podcasts. Now, the latest predictions, we've gone through all the kind of, I guess there's a plethora of events that could unfold, I would say. So let's go over those one more time for our listeners who haven't listened to previous podcasts. So let's talk about that. Insider, tell me the first one.
So the first one is if Trump wins the election.
No, let's do that one last, okay?
Okay.
So the first one is Kamala
wins the election.
Why does Kamala win?
Cheating.
Obviously cheating. So if you looked at even the economists, the left-wing economist is predicting Trump is going to win. He's up 2 points. Joe Biden, at this time, the left-wing media was telling you he was up 5 or 6 points, and Hillary was up 10 points. Unless mass cheating occurs, Kamala's done for. How bad do you think the mass cheating will be if it happens?
It would. Oh, now I think the numbers would have to be tremendous.
Everyone would know that she cheated.
Very clear. Yes.
So have you? We talked about when Kamala kind of took over, Joe Biden was under a downward trend. Right, Joe Biden was really getting kind of low there, and they all panicked. The Democrat Party panicked because they all want control, and boom, they got rid of Joe Biden, and then boom, Kamala was put in there. Kamala went right up to Trump, according to them, and then now she's like, ooh,
yep,
right? She's not going to make it to the finish line. So, do you think that there's going to be somebody that comes in last minute?
No.
You think Kamala's the one?
I think she's the one. There's only 18 days left. So
the first thing we're going to go, the first scenario is that mass cheating occurs, and it's going to be cheating on such a catastrophic level that it's going to be completely obvious there is cheating into the leftists are going to know there's cheating.
Right.
Okay. What's the second one?
We're leaving Trump to last?
Okay, we'll talk about Trump right now. So Trump wins.
Okay.
So Trump, how much do you think he's going to win by? Let's predict the electoral vote count.
Oh, electoral vote?
So I predict he's going to get
200?
Pennsylvania. No, if you know, and 200 is a losing number. You got at least 70.
I apologize. Yeah.
Sorry, he's stuck in Canadian mode.
I'm still stuck again.
I think 200 would be a majority for us, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm thinking.
So I think she's not. I think Trump is not going to win Wisconsin. I don't think he. I think he's going to win Pennsylvania, and I think he's going to win Michigan. So I think he's going to win North Carolina too. So I think he's in the clear. I think he'll have over 300 electoral votes, maybe between 306 and 312. Okay. That's my prediction. Kamala will have somewhere between in the low 200s, okay, below 250, which is going to be earth-shattering to a lot of people and earth-shattering to our enemies. Now, if you understand the optical illusion that's coming back with Trump assassinations, them telling you, oh my goodness, Iran is doing this, and everybody's like, no, Iran's not doing, oh yes, they are. Mm-hmm. They are. Everything that's relating to Iran, to what Israel's doing, to what Obama, it's all going to make sense to everybody in the end. Okay? So just go to the awakener.ca. We have been telling you that Obama was setting up a power structure changing war, which they were going to pin on Hillary. And by the end of Hillary's presidency, the Western world was going to take the big fat L. So we're at the point now where those 8 years have kind of gone by, but under different presidents. So this war is still going to happen. The enemy is going to go ahead with it anyways because they're scrambling right now because truth is coming out. It's going to expose them. Whether people believe it's going to happen or not, it is going to happen. And they're all planning for Plan B. And that's more stuff that's been detailed on the awakener.ca. So head there again, okay? So the third option, which we've talked about.
A war beforehand, right?
No, it was the military taking over.
Oh,
but
military
it's very much like there's a war happening and stuff like that. But I don't want to get people too panicked. This is something we'll talk about on the Patreon at a later time. Now, we do want to talk about Canada. So I have so many questions I want to ask about Canada.
Okay.
Because Trudeau is under so much fire right now. So he's under internal pressure to drop out.
Correct.
You can see that there's a war between CSIS and the RCMP. You can see there's a war between CSIS and old CSIS agents. And this is getting critical levels. Now, Trudeau gets interviewed and he gets asked about foreign interference. And of course, he blames Poilievre as the one who has foreign interference on him, of course. Just like the Russian investigation. Remember?
Yeah.
They had access to Patrick Ho's counterintelligence. Oh my goodness, the truth is coming out. Let's frame the enemy as Russian agents. It's the same thing happening here. It's just a sign of panic. So Jordan Peterson gets labeled as a Russian asset, or as a Russian. I'm just assuming it's a Russian asset at this point. Okay?
Yeah, and they say India for Pierre.
So at this point, it's just gone full crazy mode. The left is in complete meltdown mode. They're blaming their enemies. Everyone's pointing at Poilievre right now. And I don't think Poilievre gives an absolute crap. Okay? He doesn't care if he gets clearance. Doesn't matter. The truth is going to come out. This game is so far gone, ladies and gentlemen, if you understand the optics of what is happening, we're going to win. We're going to win. It's that simple. What's the next thing you want to talk about? Was there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, we can talk about more in detail of Trudeau. I mean, he's being attacked, and you're right. So he's being attacked internally in his caucus. He's being knifed in the back everywhere. Major ministers are not running again.
Right.
The rats are escaping the ship.
Right.
And so what does he do? He gets questioned at committee. He kind of points the finger at Pierre, but it's not clear. It says that, there could be, he's speculating that there could be. Pierre is not getting clearance because if Pierre gets clearance, he has to, for the rest of his life, be silent on whatever he finds out.
Right.
So he can't even take action on it.
Right.
And why isn't the RCMP taking action on this?
Right. So the RCMP, the reason why the RCMP is not taking action is because it's appointed by Trudeau. Trudeau's head is appointed, and the head of the RCMP has complete control. I believe they're a non-unionized environment, so whatever
Correct.
upper management says goes, and it just flows down the chain of command. Now, obviously, CSIS is different than this, but CSIS is at war with itself. And people ask me, well, how do you know? How do you know all this stuff? Well, if you know Barack Obama is the communist plant, you would look and understand that Trudeau was kind of his hand, I would say.
Right, in Canada.
The reason why Trudeau was put in is complete shipment of the U.S. fissile material over to our enemies. Now, the reason why our enemies needed the U.S. fissile material is they're too pussy to go ahead with this war using their own stuff. Because if this revolution that they want to do to achieve control over the Western world fails, they then get caught and they have to risk extermination by our advanced nuclear weapons, and they don't want that. They don't want the advancement of the Western world. So to reduce their risk, they wanted to procure the U.S. uranium and do this war to us and implode us using our own fissile material without a trace. Then if they won, they could optically lie to us and say nothing was going to happen. I know this is a mind blow, but this is the only reason. The main reason Trudeau was put in office is for transportation of the U.S. fissile material, because Canada was the only country that was allowed to possess it, and they were going to ship it over. They're going to ship it through Ukraine, and they were going to ship it onto Kazakhstan and onto Iran and North Korea. Now, I've explained to you that Kazakhstan was the one who gave Iran its nuclear program way back in the day when the Soviet Union collapsed, and they were gifted 2 nuclear weapons. So Kazakhstan, and this company called Kazatomprom, was the main supplier of Iran's fissile material for use of their nuclear program. Now, as you know, they have to cross the boundary of this NATO boundary, and they were shipping it through Ukraine, and Zelensky's buddies are all in on it. So the reason why Russia invaded Ukraine was actually to stop all the investigations from coming out and spreading. And the truth, and the realization from the Western world is that there was a plot to take you out. And in the end, everybody's going to realize there's the U.S. military-industrial complex. The U.S. complex is the lesser evil. Okay, I know it doesn't seem like that right now. It seems like Israel's going on a mayhem. Believe me, Israel knows what's going on. They know there was an extermination war going to be pinned on it. All these events that are happening are for a specific purpose. The communists are supremely evil. They will fabricate a world war, just like they did in World War I and World War II, to advance their control. They will kill their own to get it. They do not care about their population or their women or their rights.
Correct.
Okay? Well, all their leaders end up dying, but they all are rich. Okay? So the US industrial complex cannot be equated. It's just like JFK said, right? The reason we don't have peace, Soviet imperialism, and what cannot be equated, Western imperialism, right? At the end of the day, human progress. It's all about human progress. So when the colonialists came and they landed, the Spaniards came and landed in Mexico, what happened to the Aztecs? The Aztecs were sacrificing humans. Okay? What happened when Christopher Columbus came? You think that the natives would sing around singing Kumbaya?
No.
Absolutely not. There was a tribal warfare going on between them. They would enslave each other's women, kill each other, right? It would be a shame that the colonialists would arrive and give some semblance of a law-abiding society. How about that? So in the case of human evolution, the best thing that can happen to us is that we continue to progress toward free will, respect for each other, and rights. Okay? And this is why, if there is no rights and you want to force this on us, this is why the US complex exists. Now, I know this is a lot for people to understand and wrap their minds around, but the Insider and me have been kind of detailing this for you for quite some time. And people have unfollowed me because they're like, oh my goodness, that can't be true. That guy seems like he's a little bit of whack. Unfollow me. I don't care. I'm the only one that's telling you what's right and what's actually happening right now. So give us a follow, go on the awakener.ca and have your mind blown.